Summer power outages don't get nearly as much of attention as winter outages, but when it's 100 degrees outside and the power goes out, things can get uncomfortable and even dangerous surprisingly fast. A lot of people probably immediately think just to run their air conditioner using their power station. In this video, I'll show you my cool room strategy for surviving a summer blackout. We'll talk about how to create a room that stays cooler than the rest of your house, how to block heat before it gets inside, and how to power that setup during an outage. We'll also cover traditional cooling methods like fans and portable AC units, but I'm also going to show you 3 alternative cooling methods that a lot of people don't think about. One is designed for humid climates, one is designed for dry climates, and one works just about anywhere. I'll also show you the runtime testing I performed using the new Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max, so you can see what is actually realistic during an outage. I'll also show you how to get affordable automatic backup power on your home circuits using the Pro Max with a standard manual transfer switch, so your selected circuits switch over automatically the moment the grid goes down. Let's get started. If you're new to this channel, I'd like to welcome you. My name is Cliff, also known as the Urban Prepper, and on this channel we focus on the topic of urban emergency preparedness. This video is sponsored by Jackery as part of our monthly power outage series. Each month, we're taking a different outage scenario and building a preparedness plan around it. And we'll be featuring Jackery products as part of it. Last month, we focused on power management. This month, we're focusing on one of the most overlooked preparedness topics, summer heat. So let's get into it. Before we start building our setup, let's talk about why summer outages happen in the first place. Most people assume outages are caused by storms. Sometimes they are, but in the summer, we often see heat waves driving AC through the roof, which might bring the whole grid down in a city. Transformers overheating, wildfire-related shutoffs, summer storms, and aging infrastructure failures. The good news is many of these situations are predictable enough ahead of time so we could properly prepare for them. Which brings us to our strategy. If you're only going to take one thing away from this video, take this, the cool room strategy. The mistake a lot of people make is trying to cool the entire house. They've got fans running everywhere, windows open, maybe a portable AC unit trying to cool a large open space. Meanwhile, they're burning their battery power while the heat continues to build up in their home. Instead, I focus on one room, a single room that becomes my base of operations during an outage. For me, the goal isn't cooling the entire house. Instead, it's trying to keep one room staying cooler than the rest of the house. You're able to do that through some simple DIY tricks, and then to power a few strategic appliances using something like the Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max power station. Let's talk about building a cool room. Here are the things that I look for. You're going to want a smaller room in your home with minimal sun exposure, just a few windows, maybe an interior room if possible, and something that's easy to seal. Once you pick the room, the next step is trying to block the heat before it enters. And for me, this is where reflective insulation really shines. I talk about this in my 100 Preps ebook because it's one of the most inexpensive preparedness items that solves multiple problems. Reflective insulation can dramatically reduce radiant heat coming through windows. And the key is trying to stop the heat from entering the room in the first place. Once the heat's inside the room, you're then facing an uphill battle. So what I do is install reflective insulation on sun-facing windows. If you have blackout curtains, even better. I use them too. It's worked really great for us and it makes the room noticeably cooler right off the bat. I live in Western Washington, so things don't often get very extreme here in terms of summer heat, but it does happen from time to time. Then in that cool room, you're gonna wanna bring everything that you need. This becomes your summer power outage base camp. Now that we have our cool room established, let's start talking about cooling it. And we're gonna cool it with various appliances that we're gonna power using the Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max power station. We'll start with 2 things that everyone thinks about when it comes to cooling, and that's fans and portable AC units. Fans are a little bit boring, but they're also one of the most efficient cooling tools that are available. The fan isn't necessarily cooling the room, it's cooling you. For this video, I tested a small portable Black & Decker fan with the Jackery power station. The fan is 21 watts on low, 33 watts on high. On the Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max, that resulted in pretty long run times. Almost 3 days on low and more than a day and a half on high. There's all sorts of different fans that you could use for staying cool with various wattages between all of them. So things like USB fans, clip fans, even those neck fans that are really popular nowadays. All of those will be more efficient when used in a cool room. You could also go with a much larger fan like those shop style fans that you can see over at Home Depot, for example. Those are going to blow a lot more air, but they're not going to run quite as long as a smaller fan due to the wattage. For example, this large fan on high draws 119 watts, which runs for about 18.6 hours. At medium, at 101 watts, it runs for around 20.5 hours. And on low, at 91 watts, it runs for 21.5 hours. So not a full 24 hours with that large fan, but hopefully that summer power outage doesn't last as long. Now let's talk about what most people probably think about when there's a summer power outage, and that's providing power to their portable AC unit. For me, this is also preferred. It definitely works, but you have to be a little strategic with it. I think that the mistake is trying to cool the entire house. But what I try to do is try to cool a contained room. There's a lot of different portable AC units that are out there that you could buy at various stores. We have a few window AC units. In my testing on normal mode, it ran for around 10 hours using the Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max. And on eco mode, it tripled its runtime at approximately 30 hours. You would have to recharge that Jackery HomePower between runs. By the way, you could recharge it from 0 to 100% in around 2.5 hours, which is really good. So my strategy would be, in a cool room, put it on eco mode, use fans to maintain comfort, and to cycle the AC as needed. For me, that's a lot more efficient than trying to run everything continuously. By the way, we don't have central AC in our home, but a lot of people do. Other people have things like heat pumps, which is also used for cooling their home. In my opinion, central AC systems and heat pumps are generally not the best battery-powered loads. Many of them will draw thousands of watts, which will run through your battery fairly quickly. That's why I prefer going with the cool room approach. Now let's talk about what's going to be powering everything for this video, and it's going to be featuring the new Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max. One of the best reasons of having a power station like this versus a generator is that you could run them indoors without having to worry about fumes or noise. You can't get that from a gas generator, and it's even deadly. You also don't have to worry about it being outside in the weather or having extension cords running all over the place. If you go with the cool room approach, it's just sitting there in the cool room with you. The entire cool room, from the fans to the AC unit to alternative cooling methods, can be powered using this power station. It stores 3,584 watt hours of energy, delivers up to 4,000 watts of output, and supports both 120 volt and 240 volt devices from a single unit. If you had the previous version of the HomePower 3600, this one is noticeably smaller. It's about 20% smaller and 7 pounds lighter. That said, it's still about 70 pounds. It doesn't have wheels, so it feels more like a place it where you want it and leave it type of system, rather than something you're constantly moving around, like we've shown in the past with other Jackery devices. On the front, you've got 2 standard household outlets, a 240 volt outlet, USB-A, USB-C, and a color display that shows battery status and power usage. If your needs grow over time, a single unit can expand up to 21.5 kilowatt hours, and 2 systems can be paired together for up to 43 kilowatt hours of storage. The battery is rated up to 6,000 cycles and up to 16 years of service life, and comes with a 5-year warranty. You could charge it from the grid, solar, your vehicle, or even a generator. It also includes app control and supports time of use scheduling, which can automatically charge during cheaper utility hours and discharge during more expensive periods. My favorite feature of this particular device is the automatic backup capability, which we'll be talking about later on in this video. I know that was a lot of numbers and technical jargon that might go over some people's heads. What really matters to me is how long can I run my cool room using this device. Now let's start going through some alternative cooling methods. If you live in a humid environment like I do, this one is for you, and that is going with a dehumidifier. I first got one of these long before I even started the channel. There was a heat wave that was going on. There was no AC units available in town. And so someone told me, hey, just get a dehumidifier. So I got it, and it actually works really well. A dehumidifier doesn't directly lower the temperature. It lowers the humidity, and that actually makes it feel a lot cooler. A few years back in Washington, we had a heat wave where it was 105 degrees and it was humid and it was just absolutely miserable. Last summer, we went to Las Vegas and it was around 113 degrees, but it was a dry heat and it wasn't quite as bad as it was back home when there was high humidity. That's why I think having a dehumidifier is a good prep to have for summer power outages. This particular unit draws 295 watts and it runs a lot more efficiently than our AC unit does. In comfort mode, it can run significantly efficiently because it cycles on and off automatically. And as an added prepper bonus, this actually generates water for you. I would still filter and purify the water before using it for anything beyond utility purposes. But for me, I get around a gallon of water in less than 12 hours when running the dehumidifier, which could technically be used after proper filtration and purification. But it's definitely an added perk of having a dehumidifier compared to anything else that we've covered in this video so far. The next cooling item is a DIY project if you live in a dry environment, and that is a DIY swamp cooler. A swamp cooler, sometimes called an evaporation cooler, uses one of the oldest cooling tricks known to mankind, evaporation. As water changes from a liquid into a vapor, it absorbs heat from the surrounding air. By continuously passing air through a wet cooling pad, a swamp cooler can produce cooler air while using only a small fan and a water pump. That's why these systems have been used for decades in hot, dry climates where traditional air conditioning may be impractical or energy intensive. Using one of these inexpensive low wattage fans, you could have a swamp cooler running for multiple days on a Jackery. Here's how you can make one. All you need is a small low wattage fan, a 5-gallon bucket, and then you just need to cut multiple holes in the side of the bucket to allow air to pass through as part of the evaporation effect. Then you just need a roll of this DuraCool foam, which is used for air conditioners, to soak up the water for the evaporation effect. Last, all you need is a small, inexpensive aquarium water pump that you put at the bottom of this, and then you run the aquarium hose all the way to the top and poke holes with a needle to allow the water to drip down evenly on the foam pad. Then just add some water to the bottom of the bucket to completely submerge the aquarium pump, and you turn it on. And that's basically it. I used a razor blade to cut the hole in the top of the 5-gallon bucket and used some zip ties to attach the fan to the very top. This small 14-watt fan runs for several days using the Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max power station. These don't work best in humid environments like where I live. It's better for dry heat, like in Arizona, for example. This will work really well for that. I'll provide instructions on how you can build a DIY swamp cooler in the PDF that you can download below. And the last alternative cooling method that you could build as a DIY project is a DIY ice cooler, kind of like a makeshift air conditioning unit. This one can work pretty much anywhere if you're in a dry or a humid environment, but it's going to be more directional and something that you want to have close by to cool you. It's not going to cool an entire room, but it could cool that containment cool room that we made. This is a fun little DIY project that you could do, and again, power with the Jackery power station. That Black & Decker fan that we talked about earlier is on the very top of this particular unit. Here's how you make one. So you're just going to need a styrofoam cooler like what you could get at a grocery store. And then you're going to want to cut a hole at the very top of it to put the fan so it blows into the cooler. You could cut the styrofoam with any kind of knife or cutting tool that you might pick up at Home Depot. Next, you're going to want some PVC pipe that you cut and use as tubes that's going to blow the air out of the ice cooler. PVC pipe is fairly inexpensive, and all you need is a hacksaw to cut it to the desired length. Again, you're going to cut out holes in the styrofoam container and then insert those in so they're nice and snug. Last, you're going to want to put some frozen water bottles in the cooler to give that cooling effect. For power outages, it's a good idea to have frozen water bottles in your freezer. That'll help keep your freezer cooler when the power's out. But those water bottles can be used for this DIY ice cooler as well. We store some in our upright garage freezer. So you're just going to put those frozen water bottles into the styrofoam cooler, and then you just turn the fan on, and the fan will blow air, and it'll circulate around those frozen water bottles and will blow out through the PVC pipes. I attached some ribbon to the pipe so you can see the airflow, and that also helps orient the bottles inside of the cooler to make sure you have proper airflow going. This will add around 10% humidity to your room when it's running, but it'll also lower the temperature of the room when you're directly in front of it by about 15 degrees, which I think is pretty good. Again, that Black & Decker fan has 3 modes to it, low, medium, high, and you could run this on low mode for multiple days using the Jackery. Again, this isn't meant to be a room cooling solution. It's meant to be a personal cooling system that you have nearby. So you can have it by your bed or on a coffee table or even in your vehicle, and it'll keep you cool. This is meant for targeted comfort. Now, the coolest feature of this Pro Max is that it gives you affordable automatic backup power without needing an automatic transfer switch or an ATS. You could do it with just a normal manual transfer switch. Historically, if you want automatic backup, you're looking at a dedicated automatic transfer panel, additional equipment, and a much larger installation bill. The Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max gives you ATS performance at MTS pricing. The transfer switch I installed is the Reliance Controls A510A-J. It's a standard manual transfer switch that costs less than $500, and a licensed electrician could typically install it for around $500 to $700 plus permit costs. For preparedness-minded people, this is probably one of the more affordable ways of getting that automatic backup power capability. Here's how I have mine configured. 5 circuits are routed through the transfer switch and set to generator position. Those circuits are powered through the Jackery, while the rest of the house remains on utility power as normal. I selected the circuits that matter most for us during an outage. Both refrigerators, the aquariums, general lighting, and our TV/entertainment setup. Now, normally that's not how a manual transfer switch works. In a traditional setup, the power goes out, you go over to the transfer switch, start your generator, manually switch those circuits from utility power to generator power. That's why it's called a manual transfer switch. You also can't power those circuits from both sources at the same time. They're either connected to utility power or to generator power. The transfer switch actually prevents those power sources from mixing together. What's different here is that those circuits are already routed through the Jackery. So when utility power disappears, the HomePower 3600 Pro Max detects the outage and automatically switches to battery power without touching the transfer switch. And to be honest, when I was originally researching the installation, I contacted numerous electricians. All of them said, hey, this is impossible. That's not how manual transfer switches work. They all didn't believe that this would work, but it does. Eventually, I found an electrician willing to come out and take a closer look. Even he was surprised when he saw it actually operating. What's really happening is that the Jackery is acting as a UPS to the selected circuits. When utility power is available, it passes that power through. If utility power disappears, the HomePower 3600 Pro Max automatically switches those circuits to battery power in under 10 milliseconds. To demo this, I'm going to turn off the main breaker in our basement. I already have the Jackery connected to the MTS, and I have Little Miss Prepper on a FaceTime call with me on the home internet. Most of the power is going to shut off in the home, except for those 5 circuits that I have designated to be used with the Jackery. So we'll see it in action. All right, Little Miss Prepper, are you watching the TV? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to turn off the main circuit. You still there?
Yep.
Is the TV still on?
Mm-hmm.
How's the fish tank looking?
The fish tank is looking good. It's still
Good. As you can see, the Jackery is providing power now to all of those devices that are set up on the circuit that we have here. All right, so that's looking good. The fish tank's on. All right, good demo. Thank you. As you saw, none of the circuits on the MTS turned off. The light stayed on, the TV stayed on, the Wi-Fi stayed on, the fish tank stayed on. And that's the difference between a system that you have to react to versus one that's ready to go when a power outage happens. So now let's bring everything together. You're going to start by building a cool room. You want to block radiant heat before it enters using thermal insulation on your windows. For general cooling of that cool room, start off with fans first because they have a longer runtime. Then use portable AC units strategically. Put it in eco mode, for example, it'll last a lot longer. Then you could choose an alternative cooling method depending on your climate. If you live in a humid environment, you could consider adding a dehumidifier to your preps and running it with the power station. Not only will this reduce the humidity in your home, but it'll also generate water for you. If you live in a dry climate, consider adding an evaporation cooler or a DIY swamp cooler. You could use a low wattage fan and have it running for several days to cool your environment. And then for more directional cooling that could run for a longer period of time than an air conditioning unit would, you could use a DIY ice cooler. You could put this in the cool room or by your bed, and it'll lower the temperature by about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. During a summer power outage, you could use all of these methods together. Each one will start reducing the temperature and make it a lot more bearable for you. The cool room will give you an enclosed space. The thermal insulation will lower the temperature. You could have fans running, air conditioning units running, remove the humidity from the room, and also have more directional cooling. And all of these could run using the new Jackery HomePower 3600 Pro Max to make that summer power outage a lot more bearable. I've put together a PDF document. You can download it by clicking the link in the description box below. It has more information on the Jackery HomePower in addition to all the stuff that we've discussed in this video, including instructions for how to make some of these DIY projects like the DIY swamp cooler and the DIY ice cooler. I'll include links to the parts as well too, so you can get the same thing that I used. This video is part of my monthly power outage series that I'm going to be running for the entire year. Again, these videos have been sponsored by Jackery, which is really nice. And this particular one featured the newest one of their HomePower series. So there's going to be more of these power outage focused videos to come, including power outages for apartments and condos, winter power outages, and more. So leave your comments below in the comments section regarding this video. What are some methods that you like to use to stay cool during summer power outages? I'd love to see those comments in the comments section so we could all learn from each other's experiences. If you like these type of emergency preparedness videos, consider subscribing to the channel. You could also follow my email newsletter, which I send out periodically. I also have a membership portal for additional behind the scenes videos. I have a podcast available on all the podcast sites like Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and more, called the Urban Prepper Daily Briefing. You could talk to your favorite voice assistant and say, play the Urban Prepper Daily Briefing, and it'll give you a rundown of everything going on over the past 24 hours in the preparedness community. Thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for more urban emergency preparedness videos. Stay cool out there. See you next time.